morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this auspicious panel discussion. I call it auspicious because I didn't expect we'd have more than 10 people who joined us, so I appreciate all of you being here. We do have some district dignitaries in our audience, and I want to do a shout out to EMILIE Taylor, our district director, as well as to PJ Kleffner, our program quality director. Thank you both for being here today. I call on District Director EMILIE Taylor to please unmute yourself, come to the screen, and to read the Toastmasters mission statement.
Thank you, Phyllis. The Toastmasters International Mission, we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Our district mission, we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Our Toastmasters International envision future to be the first choice provider of dynamic, high-value, experiential communication and leadership skills development.
Thank you, EMILIE. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. We've already been talking about video cameras and making sure that you're muted so that we can preserve the bandwidths for our panelists so they don't get cut off. We do ask that you ask questions because the second part of our meeting today will be to answer those questions. So if you will put those into the chat, our chat master, Judith Short from Downtown Lunch Bunch, will be watching those. As in any event, as EMILIE likes to say, it takes a village to put on a successful meeting. And that's true today also. I've already mentioned Judith, who will be monitoring the chat for me. We also have Adam Pippert. Both Judith and Adam are from Downtown Lunch Bunch. Adam will be our timer today so that our panelists stay on time. I've also invited Crystal Pugh to be part of the background crew, and she is going to be making sure that everybody stays muted as they need to be. I call her our mute master, maybe a term that we want to use in the future. We will be recording this discussion. I've had my computer recording now since 11 o'clock. I will clip all of the pre-chat and then I will send everybody who registered a link to the video so that you can share it with your clubs or however you wish to do it. Our panel today is going to be in two sections, I should say. The first part, the panelists will be answering questions that have already been decided what we were going to talk about. They will each get 5 to 7 minutes to give their answer. And I hope that panelists that you will not only give your answer, but you will enhance it with maybe a personal experience if you can with that. There will be a drawing at the end of our time together. The drawing is for help with your club and transitioning it to a blended club scenario. It will, sorry, my notes aren't here. The global people who will be doing this are called global trainers. And at that time, I'm going to have Michelle or Brian talk to you about what global trainers does. And they will help 3 winners today transition their club. So stay to the end or you won't get to be part of that. Our 4 panelists come to the table with different levels of working experience with blended clubs, but they're all here today to share with you their experience because not everybody in our audience knows what a blended club is or has ever had the experience of that. We have all been involved with online clubs thanks to COVID, but a blended club might be a little bit different. So a question that I'm often asked is, what is a blended club? A blended club for me is one that meets in person, as we are all used to doing, but they bring in an online piece that allows their members or visitors to join them online. And I use the word blended so that it differentiates in my mind from the clubs that only meet online. And you may hear some of that today because a couple of our panelists actually started some of the online clubs. So let me introduce our panelists to you. And these are in no particular order. Michelle Alba-Lim. Michelle first got involved with online attendance in 2005 when she moved from Manila, Philippines to California. Her newly chartered club really needed a lot of help, so she would join them by Skype in the meeting. Since that time, she has been a strong proponent of online attendance since its approval in 2015 by Toastmasters International. She is a member of several online and blended clubs and is in the process of chartering 2 new blended clubs. Patrick Locke originally joined Toastmasters in the spring of 1985 in San Diego. He has earned 2 DTMs with a 3rd waiting to be processed. He has completed over 75 educational awards. He is a member of 3 clubs, Early Words in Longview, Washington, Professionally Speaking, and Speakers with Spirit in Vancouver, Washington. His home club, Early Words, has been experimenting with blended club concepts sporadically over the last 2 years as members relocated, but wanted to continue to be a member of the club. This year, he is serving as Division G Director, a role he will be serving in again next year. He believes we have a huge opportunity before us. There is an urgency at this moment to seize this opportunity, he says. The entire world has just opened before us. Brian Dodd has been an entrepreneur for the last 50 years, covering 2 major professions, namely accounting and computer science, as a software scientist. He joined Toastmasters in 2005 in Victoria, British Columbia. Brian was instrumental in helping First Canadian Toastmasters and Royal Roads Toastmasters transition to blended clubs. He is also a member of 3 clubs, Global Trainers, Witty Storytellers, and Oregon Communicators in Prineville. Our 4th panelist today is Jenny Thomas. Jenny joined Toastmasters in 2008. She earned her ACG, her ALB, and her Vision Communication Level 2. She is a member of Bootstrappers in Salem, where she serves as VP of Education. She has also served as Area 42 Director, 2017-18, and Division C Director, 2018-19. Jenny brings a fresh perspective to the discussion. She says her experience with online clubs is very limited. Bootstrappers went online on March 23rd out of sheer necessity. That was her first online club meeting. Since then, she has learned how to host a club meeting, been part of a demonstration meeting for a new club, and served as a contest Toastmaster for the D7 International Speech Contest, all on Zoom. So let's get this show on the road. As I said, the first part of our meeting will be with prepared questions for our audience. The first question is going to be for Brian Dodd. So Brian, would you please unmute yourself? And it looks to me like you are ready to go. Okay, Adam. Okay. Question: what are the Toastmasters International's rules around creating a blended club?
The first thing you have to do is you have to have a club general election, like a business meeting, where all club members can vote. If there's a quorum there, let's say you have 20 members, means you need 11 people in the meeting in order to make the vote. And if 51% of the people in the meeting say, yes, we want to allow members to come in online and join the meeting. So that's the first thing that a club needs to do. Of interest, in the first club in my case was Royal Roods, and it got into a debate. They had to adjourn it and come back and vote the next week, but we did eventually vote it in. Secondly, you have to, there's a definition here for it. It says, online attendance is defined as any member participating or interacting in a club meeting through the use of live audio and video conferencing tools, utilizing an online platform. And here we're using Zoom as one of those platforms. Skype is another platform, and various other ones. But the participants are not in the same physical location as the rest of the club members attending the in-person meeting. Participant must be able to communicate with all the members in attendance at the in-person meeting. But it does not include voice only. So the telephone connection is out. You have to be able to have a video as well as the telephone. And you can't use recorded, you can give a speech and record it and submit that as being speech, or recorded audio, the same thing. Now, once you've approved you've approved that you want to have members attend online, and members include guests, you must change your addendum of the standard club options, and that's when you go into your club, the executive is way down the bottom, and one of the things is the standard options, and you tick off in there and say, yes, we are a club that allows online attendance. Each club has to pay their own costs involved in the online platform, and each member that is attending online, like we are now in front of our computers, we have to pay the cost of that. The other rule is that if you have the 51% or 50% plus one person have to be in-person attendees. Now, I quote here, due to these circumstances, Dr. Ralph Smedley, and for those who don't know who he is, he's the man that founded Toastmasters International. From his first meeting till his first permanent meeting, it took him 19 years to do that. And he says, circumstances always modify rules. And if we are in a huge circumstance in the world this time, and I look forward to seeing what the board decides as we come out of this crisis to what we're going to do with the online experience. Now that probably at least 50% of the Toastmasters are experiencing that in the last few months. Thank you. Back to you, Phyllis.
Thank you very much, Brian. A lot to consider following the rules on whether or not to become a blended club. Thank you very much for clarifying that for us. Patrick, in 5 to 7 minutes, could you please share with us what is the advantage of a blended club?
A blended club is a group of people. We've got a club that has people that meet physically, and we also have people that come in online. So, hold on one second, let me get this other video. Yeah, there we go. I'm on 2 devices here. So we have people that are coming in online also. Now, all three of the clubs that I'm in do online meetings. Two of them we've been doing for a while. We've had people come in. One in particular, Early Words, we've been bringing people in for the past couple of years. Not every week, but sporadically we've been doing that. Our initial experience was that one of our members moved back down to Coos Bay and had a challenge, of course, getting to the meeting. So we thought we would try that. We had, at that time, a big screen TV in the room that we met. And that worked out well. All we did was bring the laptop in, hook it up to it. We had a little bit of a challenge with the sound on it, but we added a speaker to the computer and it was fine. It wasn't like having people there at the time, and it was very awkward for us because we were just starting to do it. So that awkwardness, though, started to go away just like anything else. It's like when you start speaking, it's awkward to get up and talk to somebody. Well, this was awkward also, but we kept doing it, and it started becoming better and better as we went along. Then another one of our members had to move to Florida. She initially changed clubs and went to a club in Florida. And then she decided she still wanted to be part of our club. We had all of the equipment to do it, so we said, yeah, why not? Let's just have her involved with the club. So we did that, and then she decided just a couple of months ago to go ahead and rejoin the club and be a member of the club again. And that's been working out very well. So we have that environment that we've created, and we're becoming more comfortable with it. And I think that may be one of the biggest challenges, is that it's awkward to begin with. We don't know how to run the equipment. We have problems. Things drop out. It's one thing after another. However, like anything else that we attempt to do, we're going to have some failures. And as we move along and persist with it, those failures are going to be less and less and less, and we will start producing successes. Once we get through that challenging period, it's going to be great. Now, I do believe we have an unbelievable opportunity here, because the rest of the world is open to everybody. A lot of clubs have challenges with memberships. Those challenges are removed now. Marketing is the key element here, which marketing was the key element before. We just need to look at it a little differently. How we market our club, how we bring people into the club to take a look at it. It's all the same process. It's just looking at it in a different way, that everything is opened up to us now. I have met people all over the country. Some of those people are in this meeting right now. And we're able to visit other clubs. And I think one of the key things that we can gain by visiting other clubs is seeing how others do their meetings, looking at how meetings are run, what we can gain from that. I think a lot of people have gotten this narrow vision of what a meeting is, and they think that their club is the only one having a challenge, or that their club is the only one, the only one, the only one. But when you expand your vision to see what's going on out there, it opens up a whole new world for you. You can get ideas. You can talk to people about different ideas, how to run your meetings, what to do. And you can see a bigger picture. And this is what happens when you go to, say, for instance, an international convention. You see a different view of things, a larger picture. And we're able to do that right now, to see a larger picture. Everybody is able to see that bigger picture and to be able to connect with people and expand our influence. So the club meetings are open to everybody, literally everybody. Understand how to market your club to attract people to it online and develop your unique organization there that is successful. Madam Panelist.
Thank you, Patrick. I am excited by what you had to say. I really like the idea that we could bring in people from all over the world through the blended club process so that we not only could increase membership, but the fact that we could learn from each other across the world. What a great concept. Thank you for sharing that with us today. Michelle, you're my next panelist. What advice would you give to our non-technical members who want to consider transitioning to a blended club?
Excellent question, Phyllis. And aren't we all non-technical when it comes to approaching a new technology? Both my sons are highly technical people in their respective fields. One is in software, the other one is in a different kind of software. But even the two of them are non-technical when it comes to the other aspects. So as far as I'm concerned, we are all non-technical in a certain sense. So I have a few tips. First, salute to Nike. I will borrow their mantra, just do it. Don't become victim to the analysis or the paralysis by analysis where you're, okay, what if I do this? What if I do this? What if I do that? Just do it. Just jump in. And second, once you're doing it, expect, as Patrick mentioned, that there will be glitches. There will be hiccups. If you are expecting a perfectly smooth first meeting, then of course you will feel frustrated. But if you go in expecting to have hiccups and then there's a hiccup, you just go, okay, hiccup number one, what else? So that mindset of expecting to have glitches, a few hiccups, will really serve you well. And third, and very important, learn as you go. Have a journal, a notebook, whatever means you have of recording what happened when, and then learning from it and testing and kind of pushing the limits a little bit more. I would like to cite Kevin Wood from down, I was going to say down under, from Southern Division. He was starting, actually, he was asking me questions a few weeks before COVID restrictions. And so he went right in there and he found out that the waiting room is the wrong place to have a breakout. So he learned that, and then he knew the next time it was a breakout. And he saw these shortcuts. If you've seen the shortcuts on Zoom and he clicked on them, don't do that. Because what will happen, as he experienced, is it gives you a really quick way to do things, yes, but there's also a shortcut there that allows you to end the meeting really quickly. And he accidentally ended the meeting in the middle. So, salute to Kevin. I didn't even know that. I'd never clicked on the shortcut. So I learned from him. He was constantly updating me. I was like his journal. He would tell me, okay, find this out. I found this out. So just do it, learn as you go, and then be willing to ask questions. There is no silly question in Zoom or in whatever technology you're learning. Find out, ask questions, clarify. You will be amazed at the answers you get. I still ask questions. Graham's here, Brian's here. These are my club mates. They hear me. I'm constantly still asking questions. Then, and this is very important, and I think I saw a chat question there. Keep it simple. I know a club, not in Oregon, somewhere else, another district, one of my other districts, District 75. They have this condenser mic that moves around. They have this high-tech webcam that moves around. They have a projector screen. They have a projection on the wall. They have this, they have that. Woo! No, don't do that unless you have people who just want to experiment with technology and that's their thing. right? But if not, what happens is all of those high-tech gizmos become a distraction. The main thing with Toastmasters is learning to communicate, learning to lead, learning to listen. And it's really hard to do that if you're trying to watch all of these gizmos. Toastmasters, one of my clubs, I was a member for about 2.5 years, meets in Salem. They still do. Well, I had to move back to Sutherland, and I was the VPPR. This was in 2017. So I said to them, well, I still want to attend. I still want to be a member. Obviously, I'm not going to drive from Sutherland to Salem. That's 2 hours plus parking. So here's a link. Click on it. And they were like, no, just click on it. So for about, I think it was almost a year, we had nothing but a laptop in the room. And they would pull it back a little bit to the end of the conference table so that I could see the entire room. And I would say, well, somebody on the left side, I can't see. So they pull the laptop a little bit further back, you know, pull it back a little bit. And we had a member, Steve, who was so soft-spoken. Towards the, I think, the 3rd or 4th month of our meetings, I could hear him. One of the benefits is he had learned to project louder, so I could hear him. That was fabulous. And I think Toastmasters now, I am no longer a member, but I believe they're still a blended club. So keep it simple. Technology, the more pieces of technology you have, the more the risk of having issues, even with really good technical people. Like Brian is very good, Graham is very good. Graham at one time was demonstrating technology, and we decided to take a hike on him. So technology will have its own mind. Like right now, my HP has still refused to boot up. So be aware of technology issues. Don't worry about it, laugh about it. Toastmasters are flexible. And one final tip is reach out to others. Look around you, post on Facebook, say, hey, we're trying out blended experience. Come and join us, check us out. I'm so grateful when PHYLLIS said, are you interested? I'm like, are you? Of course I'm interested, because this was my dream 3 years ago for District 7 to become, well, I dreamed to have 77 clubs being blended. Hey, maybe with PHYLLIS' help, we can have all 160, 170 clubs blended, right? Why not? So this is wonderful. I hope everybody gains something from this panel. Back to you, PHYLLIS.
Thank you, Michelle. I have always been one of these people who wants to be high tech, but when I get involved with it, it always fails on me. Going back to the basics and doing the minimum as far as technology goes is often the best practice. Thank you for sharing that with us. Jenny Thomas, your question in 5 to 7 minutes. What is your experience with online clubs? This would be your current experiences, because as people heard, this is fairly new to you. So it would be very interesting and helpful to get a new person's perspective. Jenny, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Phyllis. Yes, as you mentioned in my bio, this whole meeting online is very new to me. I am not a stranger to Zoom and other online platforms to have meetings, as I've had to do so in my professional life. But as far as the Toastmasters meeting, I have always been very hesitant and, quite frankly, resistant to having online participation. And my reasons for that were mainly because I felt, and still do, that you lose something by having just online participation, or having someone try to get the Toastmasters experience of a club meeting by Skyping in or Zooming in. There's something that you miss, because being in the same room with fellow Toastmasters is very powerful. That aside, our current state of affairs in the world has, as Patrick said, opened the whole world to us. And as you also mentioned in my bio, my home club, Bootstrappers, which has been a club continuously meeting for 47 years, we had our first Zoom meeting on March 23rd out of sheer necessity. The place where we were meeting was no longer allowing meetings, as is the case of a lot of places across the world and in our state. I did go into it, I'm sorry to say, kicking and screaming. However, my love for my club mates and the desire to keep our meetings going in some way was what pulled me over, is what made me go through with it. And since we've started meeting purely online, again, we have not had a blended meeting yet because we are still unable to meet in person due to current restrictions. But since meeting online, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the members who have participated in our online format. In addition, we also have a guest who has been coming to our online meetings. She lives in Portland, which is about an hour away from Salem, but she's been zooming in to our meetings and participating every week, pretty much since March 23rd. I asked her last week, well, when are you going to join us? She's like, well, I live in Portland. To which I said, we'll Zoom you in. We'll make it work. You can still be a part of us. So I do now see the advantage of allowing for the online participation. Right now, it has to be purely online just because of our inability to meet in person. But all of our members do agree that they deeply miss and deeply desire to still have that in-person experience. My previous experience with online meetings, honestly, with, I should say not purely online meetings, but with blended meetings, both in my professional career and then also in Toastmasters, honestly, I was less than impressed. When I was a division director, the only club that I knew of in my division that was allowing for blended club meetings was Toastmasters, as Michelle mentioned. And they did go through a lot of technological difficulties and trying to make it work, and there were some issues with the technology and the Wi-Fi signal because of the building that they were in, so on and so forth. And personally, I just thought, well, it's not worth the hassle of the technology. And that's the opinion that I formed. In my professional life and my career, there have been times that we had several satellite offices in different parts of the state. Sometimes we would want to have people participate in the same training that, let's say the training was happening in Salem, but we wanted people who were at one of our satellite offices in Eugene to be a part of that training. So they would use, I think our main platform we use is Google Hangouts, or now Google Meet, I think is what it's called. And it's all right, but what I observed is that the people on the other end of the screen were not engaged. Now, granted, this was not a Toastmasters meeting, this was a work training, but I still felt that, again, there was something missing from just having the in-person experience. However, I say all of those things and communicate what my experience has been, just to come to the conclusion that, hey, it can happen. We can have, I believe, a successful blended club experience. But what I think you do need to have a successful blended club meeting experience is to have something which I call a Zoom champion. It doesn't have to be Zoom, it can be other platforms. My club is choosing Zoom. And for me, my Zoom champion was our Vice President of Public Relations. I am forever grateful for him for saying, look, we have to keep the meetings going. We can't just stop meeting. Here's Zoom. I know how to use it. I'll help you do it. I'll help everyone learn how to do it. And helped several of our members overcome their technological challenges, whether it was with phones, laptops, smart devices, earphones, whatever it was, he helped them through it. And because of that, we have a very solid regular attendance online. I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to what Toastmasters will look like in the future, because it's quite clear to me that there is no going back.
Thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate your perspective. It is daunting, even for me at my age, to take a look at new technology. And like I said, sometimes for me, it's just best to go back to basics. So thank you very much for your perspective. The second part of our meeting today is questions from you, from the audience. And thank you for putting those into the chat. And thank you to our chat master, Judith, for forwarding those forward so I don't have to look through the entire list. So here is a question to everyone. It says, what do the panelists believe would be the minimum tech requirements in the room for an online on-site club? Now I ask our panelists, so that we can get the majority of the questions answered, to hold their answers to 2 to 3 minutes. So it doesn't matter which of you steps forward. Michelle, perhaps, do you want to continue with what you were talking about?
Okay, thank you, Phyllis. And I am a minimalist, as you probably already heard, and I know that many others who meet with blended clubs don't agree. But I really think that if you have a big enough screen, like my HP that refused to boot up now, if you have a big, like 17-inch laptop screen and you pull it back a little bit, you know, far enough from the lectern so that everybody in the room is visible, and you have a fairly good audio system from your laptop, or if not, then one of those portable speakers, then that is it. That's my view. And I'm sure that others disagree, but my experience has been when you do that, then there's only one technology that could go wrong, just that laptop. Of course, I just have proof right now, my HP is dead. It's refused to boot up, so yikes. So then maybe you need to have a second laptop available. Now, if you have the ability to have a projector, I did buy myself a little projector, about $100 from Walmart. It doesn't project very far, but if you have that ability, then yes, it's also good to project from your laptop to the wall so that the participants who might have a bit of a vision challenge don't have to stare at the laptop screen. But I even consider this as an option. I don't use it all the time because then you have to do the plugins and all that. So again, my personal view is keep it as simple as possible. Get one good laptop, use that as your main source for Zoom, for the people to view the people online. And that's all as far as I'm concerned. But I'm sure Graham there, Brian's raising his hand. Back to you, Phyllis.
Brian, do you want to add to that?
Yes, I agree. I agree with Michelle. You know, keep it to a laptop. The secret of a Zoom meeting is you need one device for both for the microphone and the speakers. However, you don't necessarily need the speakers that are on the laptop. In fact, my Royal Roads Club, we meet in a boardroom that has that big TV at the end of the room. And it's just like having some people sitting at the back of the room because we speak from the other hand. There are two additional things that are not that expensive when you consider if you've got a club of 20 members. One is to have a webcam that you can move away from the laptop and move it a little further back or to view the speakers and that. And the second one is important, is a microphone. In my club there, we have a mic with an extension. So normally the mic has 3 feet. We have a 6-foot extension, so we can get 9 feet and closer to the speakers that are sitting in the room. And those are the two key things you need. A second computer is always handy. One time my computer failed and I actually ran the whole meeting off of my cell phone from the room, and online participants could see quite well and hear quite well. So it doesn't have to be complicated.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Michelle. The next question that I have is from Anna. She says, would this apply to restricted clubs, employee-only clubs? In this scenario, can they include members from the outside? Patrick, do you want to field that one?
Yes. In fact, they can. We're working on doing that right now with one of the corporate clubs that we have. It's a recently chartered club. The office here in Vancouver has about 44 employees, but they have a total of 7,000 employees around the world. And they have the ability to bring people in their office where their room is. They have a huge television in there, and it's set up for teleconferencing anyway, and this works absolutely fantastic. So we're working on having them bring other people from other offices into their meeting, and that could work just fine because they're all employees of the same company. They do have another Toastmaster group in one of the other offices down in San Diego, and their home office is in Denver, Colorado. So they have the ability, though, to teleconference all of their offices together, and that could be really fantastic. So when you look at potential clubs, we can look at organizations that have multiple offices, and they can connect by this teleconferencing system. It opens everything up. Again, everything's just wide open here. And we were talking about the rules and everything that Toastmaster International has on this. Well, the other part of this is that we are generating what is going to affect the rules. So if we look at situations like this, like an organization, a corporation that has offices all over the world, they have the ability to have many clubs, but they can have a club someplace that a few offices are part of. And that can help their membership also. And it can help a lot of different areas, and they can communicate together there. So there's quite a few, again, opportunities are just unlimited. And what we do, if we are thinking that our mindset is to work out positive results, then TI surely will go along with us if we do things that are appropriate and successful. Madam Facilitator.
Thank you, Patrick. Good answer. So Jenny, I have a question for you that I think maybe you might be able to answer. Someone asked, is there any feel for what % of membership attendees can be online under normal conditions? Any thoughts on that?
Can you repeat the question? What percentage?
Sure. Yeah, I interpret that to be how many people should be online and how many in person. What do you think the percentage would work for your club, for instance?
Oh, well, I think as far as the rules go, I just learned this from Brian this morning, that for a blended club, 51% has to be in person, so physically meeting in person in the meeting, and then the other 49% needs to be tuning into online. As far as what's possible or what would work, currently my home club, that's the reference point that I'll use. In a physical meeting, we generally have about 12 members attend a physical meeting any given week. And that is probably about the level that we're at, maybe a few more when we're doing our online meetings. But again, for now, for the current circumstances, we are purely online just because we cannot meet in person right now. As far as what can work, I don't know that there's necessarily any limit to what can work and not work. I think you just have to sort of find that dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would think that it would change from week to week too, depending on who's doing what and where they'll all be there. But thank you very much for your answer. Do any of the other panelists want to add on to that?
Yes, Phyllis, I wanted to add,
Yes.
this is I mean, you know me, I'm a very strong supporter of TI, and I know this is recorded. So in fact, I want it on record that this is one of the rules that they seriously need to revisit. I remember when we had the snowstorm in February, I think the year before last, and because I'm a good soldier, I contacted them. I asked if our blended club can meet with just, all online because there's a snowstorm. And the answer was no, you have to ask permission first. I'm like, well, the weatherman did not give us advance notice of this. And so it is really a seriously flawed, very seriously flawed rule, or as they call it, the GD, governing documents. This needs to be reviewed. And I am hoping, and in fact, if you read my article in the Voices issue, I'm hoping that the COVID-19 pandemic has created the silver lining behind the cloud, that now TI will have to review that rule because they have unleashed the power of blended clubs or online clubs. How are they going to put the genie back in the bottle? I don't think they can. So I'm really hoping that this is I hope the trigger for them to review that rule, because for 3 years I had been with blended clubs, and it always feel like I'm being a rogue, I'm being renegade, because we are more people meeting online than in person. But oftentimes that was the only alternative we had. But back to you, Phyllis.
Thank you, Michelle.
I
I
would
can
like to-
always count on you to add something to the conversation. Thank
Can I
you.
add one little quick thing to that?
Actually, yes, Brian, please do.
To expand on Michelle's saying, I also believe that 100% online club should be given the right to belong to a district.
Okay, Brian,
And-
we're not going to go there today, but I understand, totally understand. But I do have a question for you, which this segues into it beautifully. And I'm going to ask you as the panelists who gave us the rules today to answer. Can a club be an online only club? Will the club still be able to exist in District 7? Keep your answer to 2 to 3 minutes, please.
Right now, no. 2
That
seconds.
was a Brian question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, currently no. If you're and the rule also is, if you are a club in District 7 and under the current rules with no changes, and you only had a third of the people could meet in person and 2/3 couldn't, you either have to get rid of some of the members so you get down to the ratio, or you would have to leave the district and become an undistricted club. And the current rule is, if you cannot transfer to be undistricted, you would have to start again from 20 members. So if you had 11 members and you wanted to go and become an undistricted or 100% online club, you would have to do that. And that is one of the things where I'm looking for Ralph Smedley's circumstances always modify the rules.
Thank you, Brian. Michelle, you have about 30 seconds to add to the end of that.
Yes, and Brian initiated most of what I wanted to say. So I just wanted to add that the challenge is that they are still thinking in terms of geography, but in this day and age, geography is no longer a main thing because of technology. So I believe if district leaders could maybe come up with a request, not a petition, a request, a suggestion to World Headquarters, I believe the time is right. I believe they would be ready to do, as Brian mentioned, allowing 100% online clubs to be districted. We have a club that's being started now, Brian and I are helping, Online Entrepreneurs. It's going to be 100% online club, so it will not count in District 7, which is really sad because many of the members are District 7. Back to you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your comments and your opinions. We are now
Can I
at
make
the
a
point.
comment? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead. One comment.
I believe that the answer to that question lies in our action. If we demonstrate that online clubs can be just as effective, that TI has to look at that. They have to look at the results. So if we work with people to train people and we're getting the results, people are engaging in the program, people are completing educational awards, people are communicating better, leading better, and these clubs are effective, they have to look at that. They can't not. So it's up to us.
Thank
take
you
the
very
action.
much. Thank you. It's time for us to move on. As on the news, you know how they cut you off when they get to a hard break? We are at a hard break. Thank you, panelists, for all that you have done for us today. You have increased our knowledge base. We still have questions that need to be answered, so we will answer those and send them out to everyone. I told you at the beginning of this meeting that we were going to have a drawing for those of you who stuck to us to the bitter end. Well, we are close to the bitter end, but not bitter. I have asked our district director to do a drawing for us. But before we get there, Michelle, would you please talk about global trainers so that those who win know what they've won?
Absolutely. And I am happy to say that I have a couple of charter members in here with me right now. Global Trainers Online was chartered in September 2017. Our mission was to help bring out the best in trainers worldwide, but admittedly, not everybody's a trainer yet. So we also welcome aspiring trainers, Toastmasters who want to make the transition from speaker to trainer. And we have been doing that over the past 3 years. We are a President's Distinguished Club. We organized, one of our members organized his HPL to help clubs around the world understand and get on online meetings. Very successful. Past or current district director Samar Kamal from District 79. We also, for those of you who may not be aware, we hosted the mock online contest for District 7, which I believe paved the way for District 7 to feel really comfortable having online contests. So we
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you, Michelle. But what will you do for people who win today who want to transition to blended clubs?
Yes, that is evolving as it goes. Initially, we thought just a 1-hour session for each of those 3 clubs. And then Brian and I had been busy chatting about what about also adapting the Pathways rollout format wherein, yes, we do a 1-hour session for each of those clubs. And then we organize VSS, virtual support sessions, wherein we schedule the virtual support sessions and any of these clubs or their officers can come in and ask questions, just learn a little bit more. That's what we'll
Great.
do. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So Emily, do you have our winners from today's session?
We do, but they need to be present in order to win. So drum roll, please. The first one is Jonathan Booth out of McMinnville Toastmasters. Is Jonathan around?
All right, Jonathan. Where's Jonathan?
I'm sure he's here. Maybe he's muted.
Jonathan, where are you?
So, Phyllis, how do we do this? We move to the next one if we don't hear.
I unmuted everyone, so hopefully he's here.
Jonathan, if you're still on the
here.
call, please.
I don't see him in the chat.
I don't
Okay.
see him in the chat. I'm on page 3.
Okay.
Only John
He
is
probably
on.
left.
Okay.
Yep, he's not in.
Okay.
Okay,
The
let's
next
move-
one would be Ayu Anantia. Ayu from Roseburg
Yay.
Speakers. Where are you, Ayu?
I'm
He
here.
doesn't need it. Ayu is a member of an online club, but okay, Ayu, welcome.
Congratulations.
Maybe Ayu is a member of other clubs that could use it, right, Ayu? So Ayu is the first one. The second one is Andrea Matthews from Portlandia. Andrea, are you here?
No, she is gone.
Okay. The next one is Jacqueline Baki from Known Talkers.
Oh,
Wow, thank you.
Okay. And finally, the third one is David Mason from Clark County Toastmasters.
oh, okay.
Woohoo!
Yay!
He's
So we
here.
David.
I'm here.
Yes, he's
Okay.
here.
David's
Congratulations.
here.
Congratulations. So we have you, Jacqueline, and David.
Yay!
How about that?
How
Thank
about
you.
that? Just for
Thank
showing up.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
back to you.
So the way that these will be dispersed is, Michelle, did you capture their names?
Yes, I'm trying to, but I also posted global trainers online at gmail.com. That's
Okay.
our Gmail account. Just email us and we can connect offline and schedule your first or your full hour, and then we can talk with you about the virtual support sessions.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Emily, for facilitating that. Thank you to everyone who showed up today. I think this was a very impactful session. You've learned more. Crystal, would you please mute everyone? Thank you. I think that the information the information that you got today should get you thinking about whether your club could become a blended club. As Patrick said, this is your opportunity to consider bringing in more people from around the world who may find your time of day and your club exactly what they needed. So please consider this. The decision is up to you and your clubs. We are here to give you the information about what it could look like, and the possibilities are open. Thank you, audience, for being here. It's 27 minutes after. I'm going to give you the gift of 3 minutes. Thank you all. We can stay on the line. The panelists, can you stay on the line for a couple minutes? Thumbs up if you can. And we can have an open discussion. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Panel.
May I say thank you, the
Great
organisers
job.
of this event. I thought this was a particularly valuable session. And if I may, I'm actually in the process, my district, District 69, has asked me to write a how-to handbook and shoot some videos on how clubs who are currently online can transfer to the online / on-site model once COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. So with your permission, Madam Facilitator, I will send you those when I have got them completed, and you can then send them out to those who are here today.
And I have recorded this session, so everybody who registered, I will send you that link, just reminding you.
I would like to
Thank you, Graham.
Phyllis. Phyllis, thank you so very much for thinking about this and making it happen with your panelists, with Michelle, Brian, Patrick, and Jenny. Thank you so very much for representing very well.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Phyllis.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and Phyllis, thank you for helping to achieve, I'm hoping ultimately that we will have blended clubs, more blended clubs in our district. We currently have, I was doing a quick count, we currently have, I think Yakina was the first brave soul, Yakina Toastmasters, and then Trans Toasters was the second. Then we had Feather Communicators, which is now Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers, and Oregon Communicators, and then of course Toast of Old Town. Special mention to Toast of Old Town because they are the only, so far, the only District 7 club that chartered as a blended club.
I was part, yeah, thank you, Michelle. I was part of that in the very beginning when Hillary reached out to charter that club. The way NWA is, they have employees all over the country. That's really what it is. Because they have, and their headquarters is here in Portland, in the Old Town. And that's why they made it happen. They have the technology, the facility to do this blended club. Just the, you know, their conference room has huge high definition TV, a huge one. And they have a conference room that could accommodate up to 25 people. The same thing, they have the microphones, everything. So that is really, if you want to look at that, approach Hillary Hunt from NWEA. That's the Toast of the Old Top.
Thank you, Emily.
And that's the situation we have in Northern Division also, is this club has a huge, good sized conference room, and all of the offices around the world have good conference rooms with these big TVs and systems that are all ready.
But it's not necessary to have big conference rooms and big equipment. It can do it like you guys said with a laptop and a microphone.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I've attended meetings online being on a bus, and in a particular case, I had to listen. I could see the meeting, but I had to hold the phone to my ear for a whole hour. The bus ride was an hour and the meeting was an hour. And then the bus driver asked me what it was. So of course, I gave him the opportunity to join Toastmasters if he wanted to.
Yeah. And just an FYI, Feather Toastmasters, when we were meeting at Myrtle Creek, and I was in Sutherland and Kevin was down in Myrtle Creek, he didn't have a laptop. He had a Samsung. So he would hold it up like, this way. And we had a fabulous time. The audio pickup of a typical smartphone and the sound is actually better than the typical laptop. So we celebrated birthdays, and Tiger, I don't know if he's still here, he threw the cake at no, I was just joking. We celebrated birthdays and the cake fell, but that was all captured. We had fun. We were bonding with just a smartphone.
If I may, one of my blended clubs uses smartphones instead of cameras because they work so well. We actually set up 2 or sometimes 3 smartphones. So you'll have one pointed at the lectern, one pointed back at the main group, and then we do have a laptop hooked into a projected screen because we're in a library and the facility is there. That way, we actually have 2 smartphones, one, as I say, pointing at because it's a standard U-shaped setup. So there's one from near the lectern pointing back at people there, and one from near the top of the U pointing at the lectern. And then the people online can hear what's happening, because one of the biggest problem with blended clubs, and Brian made a reference to this about using a microphone, one of the biggest problem with blended clubs is not the people in the room hearing those online. That's not a drama. It's the people online being unable to hear those in the room. Because if you've got somebody who's quietly spoken, is speaking away from the camera, then it's sometimes really quite difficult to hear what they're saying. And so that's why I like Brian's suggestion of a microphone, or to have more than one camera in the room. That is 2 mobile phones. And since most of us have got unlimited data on our cell coverage, then it works perfectly.
It also helps the Toastmasters to learn how to speak up.
There's an interesting question that came through. I'm just going to read this so you guys can talk about it. Brent Smith, and I don't know who Robert is. Robert, the question you asked is the same as mine. I was under the impression that this discussion was whether to allow D7 to have blended clubs. My understanding now is that the district is already blended. Let me explain what I meant in the initial question for this. Think of it as a big promotional. If we can get District 7 to have more blended club than the 6 that were mentioned, we could actually promote this district around the world as one of the first blended districts in the world. Think what a big footprint that would make for anybody who is interested in joining us. And think what a growth it would be for your clubs. So I hope that answers your question, Brent and Robert, because that was the intent today.